All right, welcome to March board meeting of March 13th. Call to order at 5:35. Library exits go out that way and we'll all be safe. Any comments from the public? Sue, you're considered public. Any other comments that you would like to add? We're good. Approval of last month's meeting minutes. I was absent, so I will not make any comments on them. Anyone have any comments on the minutes as written? Okay, motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Anyone to second?
Awesome.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. No nays. All right, we're good. Minutes are approved. Always well done on the job, so thank you very much. We will go next to the Friends of the Library report. So, Sue, it's all yours.
Okay, hi. Welcome. Isn't it nice that it's still daylight out? We can see
You've seen a lot of daylight. haven't you?
I have. I just got back from Vieques, so I saw lots of beautiful daylight, sunshine, ocean. It was fabulous.
Since we're
So anyway, welcome. Here is the Friends of the Library report. I missed last month, so I'm going to give you kind of 2 months worth here. So the bookshop has actually had a couple of pretty good months. We made $574 in January and $478 in February. Our goal is to hit 500. So between those two, we made over that. So that was good. The big news that you guys haven't heard is that we're not having a big spring sale this year. We made the executive decision that we don't have enough books in our inventory because after the fall sale, we culled a lot of books that had been through 3 sales and hadn't sold. So we decided that between that, and we also lost our main person who does who was organizing and helping with the book sales. She actually moved to Maine and left us. So we had made the decision that we were not going to do a big sale, but we're going to try a couple of smaller sales. So at the concert coming up this weekend on March 22nd, we're going to do a small sale, a sampling from the bookshop to see if we can get some sales there and also kind of encourage some of those concert goers to come to the bookshop and know more about the bookshop. And then in April, we're going to be at Illuminate Vermont next to the fireplace there, right in front of the stairs. So Holly, if you're in there performing, we'll be there.
Good to have
So that
exactly.
Yeah, so that's our plan for the spring. And then we're going to do a big sale in September. So it's kind of a new thing. We'll see how it goes and fingers crossed that it all works out. Let's see. So the concert series is going really well. We've had 2 concerts so far. The first one was the Vermont Youth Orchestra. They were amazing. These young people were so talented and it was just incredible to hear them. So that was really cool. The second one was called the Twangtown Paramours. They were a husband and wife duo who came up from Nashville, kind of bluegrass and blues and folk. They were great. And so now we have 2 concerts left. The next one is March 22nd, Social Band. I guess they're pretty popular. I don't know them, but anyway, we'll find out. So that's our report. Any questions?
Sue, again, thanks for all the work you're doing with it. Again, I think targeting that amount of money coming in, that's nice. And I think the way you're organizing everything, I think it always looks good up there. So thank you to your team.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.
So we might, well, I'll be here on Saturday morning. We have not, and I have not talked at all about what you're setting up and how you're accessing it and what time. So you might want to email me so that I know what you're doing.
Okay, it's March 22nd, not this Saturday, but a week.
Oh, I thought you said this Saturday, so
No, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I will, and I'll be in. Are you in on Monday? I'll be in Monday.
Sure, we'll talk then.
Okay,
that's good. I just thought you said this Saturday.
No, sorry, I might have.
Wait.
Good.
Okay, sounds good.
All organized. All right. Again, welcome. I don't have any chair remarks other than Stacy's out, so I'm covering for her. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? One suggestion I have, we have ethics training next. We can do that at the end instead of doing it now, so we can get all our business out of the way and then get through ethics training. So if you're okay, I will be moving ethics training to the end. Next is then the director's report.
Okay. I apologize for not giving you a written report, but some things were happening just this week, and I thought I'm just gonna skip it and tell you what's happening. So let's do staffing stuff first. As you know, Almy resigned, so that position is open for a variety of administrative reasons. It has not yet been posted, but we hope that it will be posted soon. That will be a full-time position to work in the Adult Services Department. We had been advertising for a 19-hour youth assistant to work after school and on Sundays. And Sundays because the budget passed. Woohoo! Yeah, there we go. And we actually withdrew that position because Kelly Kendall gave her resignation. So that's the children's librarian. Kelly is gonna, yeah, I know your mouth is open. So Kelly, her last day will be the 15th of April. And all I can say about that is that it will be a great loss. You know, she's a great member of the leadership team. She has a lot of like, let's look at this from a big perspective kind of stuff. And I think over time has really been a part of a lot of improvements and changes at the library, in addition to the very hands-on work that she does with kids and her staff. So I am working to get that job posted by Monday. So that we decided between us, because we decided between us it would be better for the new person to select the youth part-time person rather than doing that, because Kelly said, I'm not sure what to tell them. So we got that going on.
Any assistance that the board can help when recruiting for that, since that's a leadership position? Is there anything?
I don't know. I'll post it obviously in the city, and then once it's posted at the city level, I send an ad to the
Does the board?
the Vermont Library Association, and that will probably garner us quite a few applicants. I suspect there's just not a lot of movement up for people who have been children's librarians in the state. So, and then people from out of state also look at that, but thank you.
Okay.
So those are big. That's big. It's big. So I'll be trying to figure out how to get subs in the children's department starting mid-April until such time as we can get some people on staff in there. And I will probably be working in children's for a while. I mean, you know, that's fine. One desk, the other desk, it's all the same. As long as I bring my coffee and my notebooks, I'm good. So that's that. One of the things that the leadership team has been working on for a while that we've talked about, but we had a meeting that was a little more definitive between Kelly and Mira and myself, was where we were talking about programs and priorities. And we made a spreadsheet that we referred to, but didn't use it as much as we thought we would, that had different programs that we do now or programs that we expect to be doing, how they meet different parts of our strategic plan, you know, what's the cost, can it be repeated, you know, all these things that I think we'll be referring to it over and over again. It was very interesting because Mira had one set of needs around priorities, more along the lines of, we have a lot of community, we want to we want to do as many programs as we can that serve the interests of the community and that broaden what's available to the community. And how can we do that in a way that is a little less labor intensive? And how, and what kind of tools can we have to say, no, we can't do that. So that was kind of Mira's emphasis. And Kelly's was more about, the children's room is so busy. And what if the priority is to be making relationships so that we can also then welcome people in an active way who are not, who are part of different ethnic groups or minorities, or, what can we do because they're so busy just making sure that the kids don't go through the window, or whatever, eat the glue. So I think it was interesting to hear where they were coming from. I have a meeting with Sue so we can talk about priorities too. And I think this ties in. I hadn't thought about it when we started the conversation, but later I realized this also ties into, based on what they were talking about, this is also about efficiencies. And that's a really important thing for us to be talking about because of adding Sunday hours. Because over time, we've gotten a couple of 19-hour positions plus a sub that we can apply to Sunday, but that's 3 people and we'll need 6. So all the people that are going to have to add 6 hours of being on the desk and available to the public on Sundays, that's 6 less hours that they have for other aspects of their job. I still think it is a top priority, but that means that I have to help people feel good about their jobs without them burning out. So that was all very interesting. This Saturday, the Vermont Treasurer is going to be it's going to be in the auditorium. That has sold out, so now it's only available online and virtually. You can go virtually. Today, we had 2 other staff and I went to a meeting that was really for the departments in this building that serve the public more directly. So the clerk's office, the recreation, senior center, and us met with the consultants who are starting they're gathering information for the planning of the parking plan. And it really was them just gathering information, what times of day are the busiest, what are your hours, how does all those kinds of things. And then the 3 of us had all had talked to different libraries about how it works for them and what doesn't work for them. And of course, what works best is if you have dedicated free library parking, but that is not what's going to happen. So I don't think, I think he said a lot of what Jessie said when she was here, which is, we want to support the development of a vibrant downtown. And so we will be having paid parking. The things that the 3 of us found about different libraries was that the libraries that some of the libraries that already have Pay Mobile, all of the ones that I talked to that have Pay Mobile have something built in so that you can have 90 to 120 minutes free at the beginning of your time.
I've been paying at Fletcher and I need to.
No, Fletcher is not one of them. Go to Boulder. No, go to Boulder. So that is something I certainly would advocate for, although if I was thinking about the time it takes from your car and back to your car to do a story time with toddlers, especially if you have more than one kid and it's winter and they need to have a diaper change and a snack and they want to get books and and the parents need to bond over dentists or whatever, it takes more than 2 hours. Well, exchange information. But anyway, 2 hours. And all of the libraries that I talked to, it was $1 an hour. I'm not sure what Burlington is. Sue didn't mention the cost.
Their parking lot's cheaper.
Gotcha. So what this group is trying to do is they're trying to get all the non-municipal parking spots, the private spots, wants all the private owners of parking to get on board so that they can all be part of this managed program that's managed by the city, so that it's the same everywhere. And I think that probably is a good thing, having looked at a lot of library websites with, if you park here, then you get an hour free, but then it's $3 a day. But if you park over here, it's $1 an hour. I mean, it can get complicated. So their interest and what they will be trying to do is to create something that's bigger. They did say, and things change, of course, that their expectation is that along Market Street, that this piece might be in place by the end of this calendar year. And that they are in conversation too with the school and how to work that all out, that they're talking. The other piece that I'll be interested in, and there's no commitment because none of it is set, right? Council is going to ultimately have to decide these things. Is a lot of most of the libraries that I looked at, but not all, don't have fees after a certain time of night or on weekends. But if we're thinking that we want to develop more coffee shops and boutiques and all that stuff, I have a feeling that may not be the case for us, but I mentioned it. So that was that. After meeting with the Code Squad, an idea came up in that group of making sure that we identify on the website and in social media our continued support for diverse populations of all kinds. And so I actually tonight, depending, might get to meet a photographer who might be willing to work with us to take pictures of all kinds of people in the library, using the library, who give their permission for being on social media in this campaign that we have to still develop. So, I mean, we of course have a great photographer, but in this case, we wanted a photographer who wasn't the person who suggested the idea. Yeah. Give them a break. So I'm looking forward to that. And finally, I wanted to report on our staff training day yesterday. So it was fabulous. It was fabulous. And it really pointed out what a great bunch of people we have, how compatible people are, and how that I take it for granted most of the time, but some topics came up where people were talking about other jobs they've had, and that working here allows them to be themselves and also to express their concerns. One of the Mira brought in a counselor, and she and I both thought that we were talking about making mistakes in the workplace. So the only mistake was that he didn't know we were talking about making mistakes in the workplace. So he came in and started talking about making mistakes and talking about your family of origin and, things that could happen where you have blame or you have support. And so that was too much. We had some people at the end of that who were like, we needed a trigger, warning for that. And yeah, sorry, we thought he was doing this, but So that was more than but the point of it was still to talk about mistakes and how do you make them, and how, are you okay making them at work, and are you comfortable getting help, and what else needs to be in place. And then today the leadership team met and we agreed that, and the next step is, so you take the mistake and sometimes there really is something you can learn from it so you can try it again. And that part we as supervisors haven't been doing, so we can work on that. But it was super supportive. We've got lots of ideas, but people really feel that this is a safe place for them to make mistakes and to learn from mistakes. So that was really amazing. The other thing we got a grant to have a woman come who's a librarian and an active anti-racist librarian to come and talk about doing readers advisory around anti-racist topics and books, with an emphasis on doing this in a passive and active way for the public, even though the public might think that they are not interested in reading anything by someone who comes from another country or comes from a different experience. And so she had a lot of really tangible, practical suggestions that we are going to go through next month when we have our staff meeting. Some ideas for different cataloging so that when things are, I'll give an example. One of the things that she noted at her library that was a barrier was that that the subject heading, say for a book about Indonesia, a fiction book about Indonesia, is literature Indonesia or Indonesian literature, I don't remember the exact, and that when somebody pulls that up and they're looking for a novel, they're like, oh, I don't want to read literature, that means something else. And so all of these categories have this literature piece to it. And that in and of itself could be considered a barrier. So that was like, oh, of course, that's so interesting. So I'm not saying we're going to run out and do every single thing that's on there, but I think it does give us some things to think about and talk about how to do displays and setting up schedules for displays so that they're inclusive, and that it's not just based on Mira thinks it's important, so we're going to do it because Mira says so. And then like Kelly, Mira decides to leave, and then, oh yeah, that just goes the way of the dodo until somebody else comes up with it. So that was also a really useful part of it. The circulation department put on a circulation Jeopardy game. So we had the big the big things that you hit, so it goes bzzz. And
I can't do sound effects.
no, I know, I'm thinking the same thing. That's why I gave myself a description of what I really meant, because can't be on the video audio either. So and that was great. We all learned things. It was really terrific, and people had a really good time and were laughing. There was a lot of laughing. People got to eat lunch together in various parts of the library, and they all had a good time. We had a security tour, safety tour again. It's good to do that once a year. We had Mike was showing people how to use the gaming console that we use in some programs. So we had people gaming, but all of it was work related, and people were having a good time, and the food was good. And thanks to the Friends of the Library, because they haven't paid the bills yet, but they will be. They have something in their budget that is staff volunteer training, and so they'll help with paying for the refreshments. Thank you, the Friends. So that's what I wanted to tell you. It's been a busy 2 weeks.
Yeah. Whether it's staff day, well, any questions?
Do you have trainings like once a quarter?
Good question. So we have this day-long thing once a year. And then we have staff meetings every month for an hour and a half. So at the staff meetings, we almost always have a training or someone who's visiting to tell us about their nonprofit that in some way affects work, in addition to just kind of checking in with each other about what work we're doing.
And I just had one other question, because I don't know why I got an email about it, but will you or your staff be attending the library association, the conference?
The Vermont Library Association.
Right, that one.
So we usually have a contingent that attends if they look at the agenda and there are a lot of topics and everybody wants to go, then I will approach the board and the city about closing again. Last year, we didn't have that many people that really wanted to go, but the time before that, it was here in Burlington, and then we closed.
Yes.
Right. Because that's insane.
Yeah.
It's right down the street, we all should go. Yeah.
Yeah, and you may have seen this, I noticed that Hannah Miller who visited us last year is one of the keynotes.
The knitter,
Yeah.
that's right.
Where's?
Where's it at this year?
I'll have to wear my hat. Pardon?
Do you know where it's at?
I wanna say it's at a ski lodge. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Jennifer? All right, thank you
Great.
for a nice summary, thank you. Nope. Okay, next on the agenda is foundation update.
Foundation updates. There will be a donor thank you event at the library on April 11th. The details are to be determined. We are planning the spring fundraising appeal. And I think we're putting on hold the idea of of getting a grant for the hangout, because we wanted to wait till somebody was there working with that age group and talking about what they wanted to see, but I and John Kalaki met with Kelly to talk about the hangout and the kids use it, and that they love to use the computers, so see if we can make it to something other than that. And if there's any time you guys go through your program priority spreadsheet and say, hey, we want the money for this that we don't have, then that would be, we'd love to talk about that.
Thank you, and I have to prepare something to say at that event that says, woohoo, look at all the things you've done. And I sometimes, there's something that I supported, I told somebody they could do recently, and I just am like, oh, and now you need to go back into the website, onto the event and say, made possible in part by the foundation, because we want to make sure that happens for the Friends and for the foundation.
And also, we have that money we're spending for improvement at $8,000.
That's true.
So that is another thing that the foundation, for the money that we had set aside.
Yes.
Great.
That's great.
So the staff working with the foundation is going to be supporting a unique 1 year initiative to do some
Yeah, it's great.
investments in there. So we found that, so that's about $8,000. So that'll be great for the publicity for
Next
things we're
recommendation.
doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, that just happened this week, so. Okay. Question.
We need more people.
Yes.
If anybody's like, oh, I miss being on the foundation. No.
I was tickled to see, I don't know if you sent it in or if they took it from our webpage, that it was on the city news.
Oh, Andy. Andy?
Andy,
I sent it to Andy.
Did you?
I sent it to
Good.
And the other paper?
And that's what's
paper
there.
had
Much there
Yeah,
was.
they cut by. Yeah. Blast right in the town.
This is great. This is
Just
just,
like-
this is beautiful.
Over.
Nice.
All right, any other, I think foundation, I think we're good. Committee reports, comms.
We had a meeting, we reviewed our past achievements and celebrated them. And this month I am working on writing up something for the other paper about accessibility at the library. I met with Mike and Kelly today. To talk about all the great things that are going on. And we're not meeting in March next week. Yeah, we're not meeting next week. We're meeting again in April.
Any questions for Kyle?
Nothing, I'm hoping I told Andrea that we aren't meeting.
You said you were going to. It was on your.
Yeah, unfortunately, we
That's two
know
steps.
from experience that that is a necessary.
That's a two-step process.
It's the list, at least.
Yeah, great.
All right. Finance, obviously Jennifer mentioned the budget got approved, so, this was a very smooth budget process this year.
Even though it included.
Even though it included that initiative, it's
Something.
continue we get the support from the city for
Right.
things that we want to do here for the last 5 years. We've really gotten a lot, so. Now the next hurdle is the Sunday, figuring out that
Right.
and how the staff and what that's gonna look like on that, so that'll be a great thing to have. You did send the financials out for the library. From my first look at it, I think everything looks very much in line with the budget, so Jennifer, thank you for doing a good job managing the budget. Anyone have any questions on the financials? Any bucket that looks anything or comments? Again, all the numbers appear to be in line and you're on the right pace for the year, so thank you. Okay,
Thank you, you're welcome.
all right. And I think I don't have any committee meeting planned in the month of March. I'll have to look and see if we need one in April, if there's anything you need any assistance on that, the budget's approved.
Today and.
Let me know so I can, if I need to schedule one for April, I can do that.
Yeah. It's a meeting.
Okay. That's it for finance. Any questions for finance? All right, governance.
Okay, governance, I'm taking over.
I was gonna say.
I would know, I was notified in advance, so it's all good. So we have 3 action items to discuss and vote on. The first one is allowing non-residents who work in South Burlington to get library cards. So if you are we're in the home card group now, so if you also have your home library as a home card group, you can use your card to access just the physical collection here, not Libby or Canopy. And this just adds an extra bit if you aren't able to get a card from your home library. You'll be able to get a card here if you can show that you work in South Burlington. And again, it's just physical collection, that includes library things, but it's not the streaming services. Libby's a streaming service, but so.
Did you find out how many people this was likely to apply to?
It's all a guess. I have no idea. Because I think most people are going to be home card users and that's what we're gonna push first.
Right.
But then people like me that are coming from outside of the home card system, then, it would be for them or it would be for somebody who just refuses. I don't ever go to that library. I'm here every day, Monday through Friday. I'm not, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. We'll go with that. I don't know that it's gonna be huge.
And we're also not talking about marketing it or putting it out there like,
I recall last meeting. You
Yes,
said
right.
just.
Yeah.
is there?
No fee.
No, I think the point was they have an investment in the town and so make it possible for them. And Burlington does it. Just saying.
No, it makes. All right, so do we?
So yeah, and I don't think I have language or anything to vote on, but
You do, so that motion allowing non-residents who work in South Burlington to get South.
so is that all the, okay, that we need, okay.
So we just need to.
I will make
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow non-residents who work in South Burlington to get a South Burlington Public Library card that gives access to the physical collection.
All right, any second that motion? All right. Any more debate? All right,
Discussion, any
all those in favor
comments?
say aye. All right. I don't record any
Kevin
opposed,
says
so the
yes.
motion passes. All right, one down.
All right, one down. Here's the second one. I'm gonna read this and then talk about why we did this. So, the question here is, should we approve the following language to be added to the library use policy? Library card holders are strongly encouraged to have their library cards with them when checking out any materials. Use of library cards enables the transaction to go more smoothly and helps reduce errors. There's not anything right now in the library use policy about whether or not you have to have your library card with you. And we had heard anecdotally about some times where people had tried to check things out without a library card and not been permitted to do that. So we wanted to put a policy in, and it is much easier for the staff if people have their cards rather than having to type in their names and instead of just scanning it. So we just want to put this in, encouraging people who are reading the library use policy to bring their library cards with them.
I'll be the contrarian.
You'll be, okay.
Is there
Yeah.
any, this doesn't seem to be very, it's encouraged is a very soft word. Is this really trying to solve a problem that shouldn't really exist through training or anything? It seems like something that may be cleaned up later.
Yeah,
because
so
it's just-
it's a tricky thing. We ask people to bring their cards now. If they don't have a card, we say, do you have something else with your current address on it? If they say no, then we try to work with them. Can you tell me what your address is and bring it next time? I mean, that's kind of our thing. So this is all happening because two individuals over the last 2 years have talked to Marjorie specifically to complain that they were not allowed to check out because they didn't have their card. So that isn't our procedure. So somebody interpreted, one of our staff interpreted it as, sorry, if you don't have your card, you can't, or if you don't have a license, you can't. So that's how this has come about, is okay, well, maybe we should mention something. We could certainly say, we could make it stronger and say, whatever is stronger, not encouraged, but required.
Must.
Yeah, you must bring your library card. And then we can still be easygoing about it, but so I see your point, and I think that if we're gonna have if we're gonna add to the policy, might as well say must. And the only thing that's gonna change is that when somebody goes to Marjorie and says, I can't believe this happened, she could say, well, it sounds like a training issue. I'll talk to the director. And oh, by the way, it is a policy. And here it is. So hopefully it's not gonna
I appreciate
happen.
that.
Yes.
Feeling it should be.
Yeah.
direct.
I think saying must is fine, and yeah. As with
Someone
all
was
these.
in a meeting and then today I was like, we should say this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we can make the alteration here, so we can pass the motion if you want, so
Yep.
we want to change this to.
So, to library card holders must have their library cards with them when checking out any materials. Use of library cards enables the transaction to go more smoothly and helps reduce errors. Is that okay?
What is the current policy you teach your library?
You pay $1 to get a new one.
So if I come and I don't have my library card, do I have to reprove my identity with my mail and my driver's license and stuff?
No, replacement cards. You know, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if they say, do you have something on you? I don't know.
Cause if you get to there, you have a child and like 12 books and now you're
Yep.
told you can't do anything, you can pay $1 to get a new library card.
You can, and you also can tell us your address and we will. But this is like so many of our policies, like only fifth graders can be in the children's room. Well, no, fourth graders with big sisters are allowed as long as everybody behaves. But if we have to put our foot down, it is a
I think it
policy.
just emphasizes that we have a library card system.
Yeah.
here. That's the intent of the.
What happens if you don't have a library card?
Yeah.
There's ways to.
And is this something, if we vote on this, we vote this up, can we put this on the To put on the library cards and borrowing.
Yep.
Page of the website.
Didn't you say you also, okay, so it's gonna be going 2 places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna go in library cards and in the library use policy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Now, I will say, Mike just left for a trip, so it'll happen before we meet again. You can test it before next month, but it's not gonna happen immediately.
All right, so we made the modifications to the language. Do we need to repeat it again? All right, anyone want to make the initial motion?
Make the initial motion.
Okay. All right, second. Okay, all those in favor? Kevin's an
Yeah,
aye,
he's
okay.
an aye.
I saw no no's, so the motion passes as written. Fine. Okay, third one.
Third one.
Third
So
one
this
is complicated, so I'm not sure where we're going with it. Go ahead.
Okay, I will try it out. Oh, these are, I'm working on my notes, which were great. So, the idea is to make all the library policies treat the same ages the same way. So getting permission to get a Chromebook or use the recording studio or, do whatever, it's ages 12 to, we want to make it ages 12 to 15. You need a parental signature on a permission slip to get a library card to, and 16 and up to, you don't need a parent signature. You can get a library card without a parent signature. So full use of 16 would be regular adult procedures, 16 and up are adults. And ages 12 to 15 need parental or guardian permission.
For certain services and technologies.
And we would go
How's that
through.
jive with the new 12-year-old, you can check out anything you want thing?
So the 12-year-olds now still have to have parental signature on their card. So this is in keeping with that. What happened is that we were making decisions about this piece of service and this piece of service, and so they're not the same. And that is a mistake on my part. And so now we're going back and we're gonna try to create all these questions about services in some way are gonna relate to the 12 to 15, under 12 and 16 and up.
Is the term adult still should be used? Because it's a 16-year-old and an adult.
Not.
So I'm wondering, is there a need to change that term?
In the where.
Could we would,
Yeah,
a little
no,
semantics
yeah,
here, but I
yeah.
think it's something where it's a full service, or is there a need for the word adult at all?
Age 16 and old gets full service to access to the library.
Correct, so I think getting rid of the adult would
Yeah.
make that, it's just an age issue, because I don't think we wanna,
Yeah.
in a governance policy. So,
And that policy is that also the library use policy? No, see, that's gonna be in multiple policies.
Right.
so I guess my
So we
concern is.
just need to make sure that we do it the same way in every policy, because like, there's the collection development policy and the library of things is there. And then,
It's that's more of the semantics, but I think it's
Yeah.
an important part of it. So I guess the other question going back to the real age is 16, is that, are we comfortable with 16?
that is one part of the question, yep. So right now, so at first, or for a long time, we used 16 to get a library card. Then, we were told by the state library, absolutely not, you have to be 18, statute says 18. So we changed it. But then, we were talking to other people in the process of all this, the recent changes, and the state library said, if your library chooses to do 16, you can. And it has been really difficult to have 16-year-olds coming into the library wanting to get a card and use it. And we say, I'm sorry, you have to have a parent signature because they don't travel with their parents.
Right. Or the 17-year-old.
Or a 17-year-old. So we decided I think we brought it here, or I don't, but I think we have talked about it. So when we changed that library cards people could get it at 16, it feels to me that the more we can parallel that in other places, the better it's going to be for all the staff and for the public, because it'll be the same rule all the time.
Like right now, for example, for the recording studio, it's children 11 years and younger have to have a parent or guardian make the reservation. And so that would just.
Right, so yeah, it's
just to
gotta,
make it.
it just has to be,
Yeah.
made consistent. And we did talk about whether are we gonna require library cards for these things, and right now we don't. To use the studio, to borrow a Chromebook, adults don't have to have library cards, so we're we're certainly not gonna make kids have library cards. Because we have too many people, so we have kids whose parents won't let them get a card. They just, they don't trust their kids to take good care of things that they take home. So they refuse. Or we have people who don't have homes and they can't, there's no place they can claim. And a lot of those people are currently using the recording studio, which is so interesting. So we haven't required a library card.
But to take.
Not taking it home.
Here, it's used as.
Oh, in-house use, yeah. Absolutely, if we put a Chromebook in the Library of Things, so that's where the Library of Things, you do have to have. And a parental permission if you're under 16.
So this is really just to line up with the 16 and the 12,
Yeah.
is to do
It's
those.
to
The
line
debate
up.
on the other issue is something we can have a further discussion in governance.
And that will happen across the board in all the relevant policies.
We talked about you having to make a permission form. For 12 to 15.
So that is an idea that we've looked at, is can we include it with the library card sign up? Which would work from this point, from a point on, but it doesn't do anything retroactive. And if we can figure out how to say it on that form so that it's relevant, we might do that. But some things, because I also talked to Mira about this just today, and Chromebooks are an example. So if they come to the adult desk and they want a Chromebook, this is the rules. But we're going to keep the permission slips at the desk because that's for all ages, because that's where they will be. But it's not in Verso, it's not in the circulation system, because we're not requiring that they have a library card. So I'm not sure if we're going to choose that procedure or not, but that doesn't influence your decision today. Bye, Sue.
Okay. Do we need more time to think this over, or do we want to take up the motion?
Without seeing all of the many iterations of this,
we could do that.
I don't want to make.
Okay, you don't want to say that.
Tell me if they're.
That's a great question.
Sure, they're all controversial. I mean, I don't mean to be difficult, but the big controversial issue is, do we trust people to take care of our things? And the very term "our" is kind of not real because they belong to the public. That's where the controversy that I'm aware of comes in. What do you mean you're gonna let a kid check out a laminator? What do you mean you're gonna let a kid use a Chromebook? And for me, it's about access. And if we're letting kids get a library card and they have the parent permission, then the loss or the damage that happens, as long as, obviously if somebody breaks something on purpose, I watch them, but generally speaking, people make mistakes and things are going to happen, whether you're an adult or a child. That's the controversy that I know of.
So my kid already peed on your chair, so like.
And we didn't charge you for it. Yeah, exactly.
They're due.
So I just want to know if there's anything
No,
that you could flag that we should talk about.
Kevin, you had a comment?
Nope, just move my arms around.
Okay. Do we need more time as a board? Or do we think we're ready to take this motion?
So for example, the Library of Things borrowing policy, it says patrons under the age of 18 must have a parent or guardian sign the Library of Things waiver. So it would be patrons under the age of 17. 16, under the
age of.
under the age of 16. Right, okay, hold to 15, under the age of 16.
No, it wouldn't, it would actually say, so this would be a big change. This one would say something, it would say children between the ages of 12 and 15 can get parental permission to check out from the Library of Things. But it's not giving them permission to check out if they are under the age of 12.
Okay.
Is this blanket permission, sorry if you need this priority, is it going to be for all things, like? Or will the parent be able to pick and choose for a 13-year-old, like, yes, you can take notes and a laminator, then use the recording studio?
That's why I'm thinking that instead of doing it at the circulation desk, I think we're probably gonna end up getting permission slips for the Chromebook or for the one piece that you have to use a library card for is the Library of Things. So we might add a note about the Library of Things when kids are getting cards. So that, because then we can put a little box in their record to say they have permission to use the Library of Things. But the other stuff, I think we're gonna go a different route because we have different systems in place.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
We still have to do ethics training or whatever.
Yeah.
We do, I'm we're gonna go over 7 o'clock. But I think we all want to get out.
Yeah,
It's like 50 minutes.
Why don't I go through, I'm gonna go through and note the places that it changes, it just.
Yeah, for me, I think I'd like to see.
Yeah, let me do that.
Of it.
Let me do that.
Take a minute.
That sounds like a fun.
And
thing.
table the motion.
Okay, yep, that
I know
sounds
it's
good.
more fun.
No, it is, I do, honestly, that is.
So that,
That. Go for it.
It's in the public
Go
now.
for it.
so the motion was tabled for
Great.
now, okay,
Okay, thank you.
for this session, all right?
Okay.
Any other business before we close out the regular meeting agenda? Okay, so do we need to record the training?
I don't think so.
So I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.
And you've ended the meeting at 6:28.
6:28, correct?